Well, the power of the Doctor just wasn't so powerful. Yeah. A whole bunch of nothing happened. Yeah, you had some special guest stars with, Tegan and Ace showed up. And then old doctors showed up, albeit imaginary versions of them, and then holographic versions of them. So you get a brief, nice moment between Peter Davison and Janet Fielding, and then Sophie Aldred and Sylvester McCoy. And that's it. Yeah. Well, Colin Baker got nothing. He got to show up. He had some lines. But the only companion of his was what's her name? The second one. Yeah, I forget. No Perry. She got some ridiculous little short film they did extra. Paul McGann got to show up in his costume for whatever reason. They made a little silly joke about it. Yeah. So anyway, so it's all a plot by the Master. He poses as Rasputin in the past. Does that mean the Master was Rasputin? I don't know. They steal from the Kryptonian plot from Man of Steel, and they're going to repurpose the Earth into a cyber planet. And he gets help from a cyberized Death Star that he builds, and they're going to make all these volcanoes happen. And it's an alliance between his cyber lords, now cyber masters, and the Daleks, because, well, they just share a beautiful hatred of the Doctor. So there's the plot. And but the ultimate plot for the Master is he wants to be the Doctor. So he makes this machine and forces the Doctor into a booth so that I guess he puts his consciousness into her. It's forced regeneration, like the Time Lords did way back when to the Doctor. And but this time she's forced to regenerate into him. I don't know. Yeah, I thought it would have been simple if they just swapped minds, and the Doctor, it's that way Sacha Dhawan actually gets to be the Doctor, who probably should have been, because he's a better actor. So that was his plan, yeah. Oh, yeah, the lone Cyberman's back because the Master cloned him. So that's the mystery there. I had wondered, there's a way to reverse it, perhaps he's figured that out. And no, that's not what he did. He did use the corpse of the original lone Cyberman, and I guess once again, the TARDIS technology, so they could pack a bunch of Cybermen inside it. And then when it's regrown to normal size, they all burst out. So he did stuff like that. But that's it. I thought, this would probably be the end of Yaz, which would be the only way out for this, and that for some reason couldn't be restored. Like the Master, shot her, and the Doctor is stuck, unable to do it, and then the Doctor is seriously injured and regenerates at the end. And that would be the send off. Nah, they just agreed to part company. Because she doesn't want to see what the Doctor's going to turn into. Boy, what a romance that was. It's just trash. I mean, if you were serious about this, that meant you had to develop the characters. You never developed Yaz. And you didn't do a whole lot of development for the Doctor, for that matter. And you needed to set that up. You didn't. You just slapped it in there. So, yeah, there's that. Dan. Hey, what happens to Dan? Well, he checks out early because he nearly gets killed. They go to rescue some people on a space train that's traveling, I don't know, through hyperspace, I guess. And instead of just landing the TARDIS, she was babbling something at super speed, how she does. So perhaps she explained it, but no, they had to hover above it and lower a ladder, and they all, climb down in spacesuits to do whatever. But anyway, the Cyber Masters show up, and they shoot a hole in Dan's face mask on his helmet, and he's like, "Oh no!" But he gets rescued, and they're back in the TARDIS, and everything's fine. Or no, they're on the ship after that. But anyway, and he's like, "Oh man, I could have died." So he decides he's too scared to go on. So they go back to Earth, and he tells the Doctor to don't bother looking for him. He's done. He said, "Well, all right." Yeah, it seems a bit more broken up about it, but the Doctor doesn't like goodbyes or whatever, and plus she just doesn't have a heart. Yet she's supposed to have two of them, but anyway. So that's how they write him out of the story, even though he's been in danger since he met the woman. But this was a shot in the face too far. So, okay, he's out. And then the rest of the story goes such that it is. Paintings again play a part because, there was a bunch of paintings, and suddenly they would change to where it's paintings of Rasputin, but it's not Rasputin, it's the Master. And of course, this was to lure the Doctor into this plot where the Master says, "Oh, you're in danger of ceasing to exist." And you're saying, "Oh boy, let's go for that." But no, it was just the Master going to take her over, So anyway, that's about it. Once the Master takes over the Doctor, she goes into her consciousness and meets previous Doctors. So we get David Bradley playing the first Doctor, then we get Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann. And so they tell her, "You got to be strong, and and she's standing on the edge of a cliff. Once you go over, you can't come back," and all this sort of thing, which they're quickly going to violate that rule. So the Doctor can return to other bodies. So I guess what the power of the Doctor? What was it? I guess love. I don't know. There really wasn't much else. But the thing that the Cyber Masters were after was what seemed to be this special girl. But she's not a special girl. She's a special glowing thing. Glowing thing. And it's really powerful, and was this a hint that this is the real Timeless Child? Yeah, he tossed a little bone there for Russell T Davies to revisit and say, yeah, it was really this, and the Doctor just knew about it or some such. I don't know. But the thing about it, with the old Doctors appearing, it was only a handful of them, and you didn't see Ruth there. You do get Ruth, though. She does show up as a hologram because Yaz encountered Ruth. So the thing about the hologram, it was a program that the Doctor left in case of emergencies. And, well, they had an emergency because the Doctor had been taken over by the Master. So Yaz interacted with this Doctor, and the Doctor instructed her on how to pilot the TARDIS and all that stuff. And, Bender shows up for some reason. So he's hiding to shoot the Master in the back, which he does eventually. But then, so Ruth, the Doctor's hologram can change appearance based on how you see the Doctor. So since Yaz saw Ruth, and to fake out the Master somehow, so Dr. Ruth shows up. And that's all she gets. That's right. Great going, Chibnall. That's all she gets. She gets to be a hologram. So anyway, she walks in, and the Master's like, well, who are you? You've taken over the Doctor's body. You would think he would know everything the Doctor... Yeah. And also he's the one who revealed the Doctor. Says, oh, you've had thousands of incarnations, perhaps millions. I don't know. But I don't know. Of course, it's a lot of incarnations, so I guess he just didn't go through all of them, so he didn't know that one. So maybe that, but still, you're in the Doctor's body now. Not that way, he didn't know who. It didn't matter. She distracted him long enough for Bender, not the robot. What's his name? Well, it's Bender. So he shot him in the back. You know, that was their plan. And oh wait, it's not Bender. Fender? Or no, Vender. That's what was messing me up. Anyway, oh, and Bonnie. Bonnie was the Sixth Doctor companion, but she only has a small cameo. Anyway, so they gotta go razzle dazzle, mumbo jumbo the volcanoes and everything, and then Graham's there, and who is it? Ace runs into Graham, yeah, because she and Tegan somehow have gotten to know each other. I don't know. Maybe Big Finish did the story where they met. I don't, whatever. And they, from time to time, work with units. So that's feasible. So and Tegan knew the original Brigadier and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, it works out, and all that's fine. In fact, some of that is probably the only interesting part. It's brief. And of course, once again, they're like, we haven't seen the Doctor. He just took off. He didn't come by for a visit or nothing. Yeah, the Doctor's a bit of an a-hole when it comes to that. And man, maybe that's the deal. Because Yaz is like, well, who are you? And she said, well, we used to be you. And she's like, oh, really? How stable is this relationship? Not very. So anyway, so they do all this, and the Doctor convinces the special entity that was at first a special girl to destroy the Master's Death Star, which it does. It starts doing it, and then the Master shows up, and if I can't be the Doctor, then no one can, and shoots the Doctor, and she's falls over, and the Master collapses, supposedly dying at the end of this, but you know better. So Yaz picks up the Doctor, carries her back to the TARDIS, and they have the moment where all the old companions and Yaz and Graham are there and all this stuff, and they're all staring at the Doctor. And they go, this is when she's going to regenerate. Nah. They all go home, and then the Doctor wakes up and says, everything's fine. But then her hand starts glowing, and it's all over. So they have one last little romantic moment. And then, I'm going to change into somebody else. And Yaz says, I'm not down with that. And so she dumps Yaz somewhere. Now, how did she, hey, look, Yaz, she might turn into a really sexy woman, and, that would be great, wouldn't it? But, well, she didn't. So maybe Yaz just had a sense about these things. So anyway, off Yaz goes, and then she runs into Graham and Dan again because they've formed a support group for former companions of Doctor Who. So there you go. And that's where you see Joe is there. I don't think she gets any lines. Ian is there, so that was interesting. And he's like, did you say her? Yeah. And Bonnie's there saying, how many Doctors are there? Well, that's up for debate. Not really. There's 13. That's how, 14 soon, or 15, I guess. I don't know how this works out. But anyway, so we get back to the Doctor, and she's like, I'm regenerating. And so she does, and turns into David Tennant. Now, pretty much guessed that was going to happen, and it's appropriate since she basically just did a really bad impersonation of David Tennant throughout her run. That's how she did the Doctor, because she says, I can't watch Doctor Who and all that. No, she just based everything on her friend David Tennant. That's all she knew of Doctor Who, and it shows. So anyway, she turns into David Tennant, and so that Doctor's, I remember these teeth, and what? And that's that. So, but the thing about it is, it doesn't just regenerate into David Tennant. Her clothes regenerate as well. So, and if you've seen the behind-the-scenes shot of the 60th anniversary special, you've seen him in this outfit, which is different from the one he wore when he was the Doctor. And it's similar, but it's a different coat. It's blue and all that. Oh, God. But wait, the second Doctor. Yeah, that was just a mistake. So you had William Hartnell, he had to regenerate. And then when Troughton wakes up, he's still under the cloak. The cloak didn't disappear, it didn't turn into nothing. But what he does, he's wearing these pants that clearly aren't the pants that Hartnell wore. Kind of the same idea, but different. And the thing about the first and second Doctor, and they were the first and second Doctors, their outfits are rather similar because you get that it's the same bit of clothes. It's just the second Doctor was a bit of a slob. He wasn't as buttoned down and proper as the first Doctor was. He just didn't care about that. And that's about it. It's Pertwee that comes in with a brand new look and everything. So that's kind of all that was. The pants didn't magically change, I guess. So now, no other Doctor does this. They're always sometimes they'll wake up in a hospital bed and they're in a gown or pajamas or whatever, and they go and find some clothes, that sort of thing. When all along they could have just turned their clothes into something else. It's like, why didn't Jodie turn into, more effeminate outfit after, transforming from Peter Capaldi? No, she ran around in that torn up suit of his for the whole episode until she finally went and bought some clothes, So, yeah, it's really stupid. But, so anyway, but this is all special. I guess it's Davies will have to figure it out because everything messed up because of the Master screwing around with the Doctor's regeneration. Which just goes to show that there could be other people taking over the Doctor. Yeah, well, it's too late. Yeah, you're just going to have to retcon all of that. You should. Will they? Probably just ignore it, which is lazy, and you can't. If you really want to save this franchise, instead of worrying about virtue signaling, and you're going to educate the nasty people, for reasons, and then, then it's not going to survive. There's going to be interest in it because it's Russell T Davies returning, and David Tennant will be in there. That's why they did it, and then he'll regenerate into Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, and off you go. But you got to deal with this thing, So if they don't do that, it's over. I don't see any reason to bother anymore. Obviously Davies could come up with some better adventures for Gatwa's Doctor, and you'd probably get, more of those than what you had with Jodie, where you only had basically a sort of okay episode per season, which means 3. So you'll probably get a little more than that, but you still just got this steaming pile of mess Chibnall made with the timeless children. You got to fix that where they're not so timeless. Yeah. So I don't know. He may have tossed a bone there with little Star Child, whatever that is, and you weave something around that to get rid of it. Maybe. But I doubt it. All the languages, once again, of all failed franchises is representation, diversity, blah, blah, blah. What's the story? I'm sorry, what? The story. We have a lot of diversity and representation. No, what's the story going to be about? Well, it's going to feature a lot of diversity and representation. Okay. So it's almost always a red flag for lackluster plots and whatnot. And up front, again, they have a massive mistake they have to correct before they move on. But, yeah, extremely dubious. Now, the odd thing about it, it could be a rather simple plot, not much to it, but if they actually retconned all that, then it would be seen as, the greatest comeback of all time. You see, it's just that simple. Just that simple. Yeah. Oh, Bonnie's name was Mel. Jeez. Yeah. Well, look, I've been a little occupied with personal matters, so, cut me some slack. But anyway, on the way to work and doing laundry, I decided, hey, let's take a look at this last adventure of Jodie's Doctor. Well, actually, Chibnall's Doctor, but anyway. So I did. There. It's done.